October is Bullying Prevention Awareness Month. Now, the sad reality is millions of students are victims of bullying. In some cases, it's so bad they actually skip school. There's a creative way one nonprofit is engaging and educating students. This is Frank. Hi, Frank. He travels across the country reminding students, don't be a monster. Frank joins us along with Erin Kelly. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
So this is the 5th year of this program, Don't Be a Monster. What's new this year?
Oh my gosh, so much is new this year. The biggest thing is we decided to focus entirely on cyberbullying.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And cyberbullying is just horrible out there. I'm so glad I didn't go to school when social media was around.
Well, and that's what makes it so difficult is that most of the authority figures in school nowadays didn't grow up with cyberbullying themselves.
So they don't understand it.
Right. And so we're trying to educate both the kids and sometimes kind of the administrators on ways to combat that issue happening to kids nowadays.
And talk about how Don't Be a Monster was founded.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, actually. Two major haunted houses in the U.S., both the 13th Floor and House of Torment, decided they wanted to give back to the communities that had given so much to them. They thought of bullying as a big issue that both impacted them, their students, their customer base, and in 2013 created Don't Be a Monster.
Which is so absolutely cool. I love that you guys are doing this and reaching out with Frank. Talk about what the students are learning from this program.
So we have a proactive approach. We talk to kids about standing up for their friends, how to intervene safely when they see bullying happen. A big issue, I think, is that new kids in school tend to become targets. So we talk to them about welcoming new students, not letting anyone feel left out, just encouraging them to realize they're all in it together.
What's the reaction when they see good-looking guy Frank over here?
Everyone loves Frank.
Yeah.
Frank is the star of the show. In fact, we can't often bring him out until the very end of the assembly, or no one's going to pay attention to the material.
Yes!
Yeah, Frank's the best.
I mean, Frank, can you come over here? Would you mind? I just want to get Frank a hug because Frank's so nice. I know he's scary looking, but he's so nice. He's doing so much for the kiddos in our school. How many markets are you in now?
21. We actually just expanded overseas, so this is our very first year. We're in Dubai.
In Dubai?
Yeah.
And to think it started with 2 haunted houses saying, hey, we're going to help.
Yep.
What kind of response, I mean, when you from the program nationally and internationally have you received?
Oh, it's fantastic. We're actually the largest nonprofit that works with haunted houses in the U.S. And that's a really interesting market. The folks that we work with are incredibly loving, incredibly generous. And the community, I think, looking back on the assemblies that I went to when I was a kid, the ones that I remember were kitschy, you know, and because of their kitschy approach, you also remember the material. And I think that the folks that started this program were really intelligent and that they thought of Halloween and Frank and how to get a really important message through using those tools.
Well, and honestly, there's so much pressure on our kids in school just to fit in, and then like you have the social pressures too, and the social media pressures, and unfortunately you're hearing more and more in the news of kids at a younger age taking their lives. So programs like this, don't you feel like it's imperative that we have it in our community? Absolutely,
yeah. I mean, we hear stories from students as young as 4th grade that they don't actually realize what suicide and self-harm is yet, but they realize that that's something people talk about and they're curious. And so in fact, we give wristbands to every student at the end of the assembly, and on the inside of the wristband it says you matter, and it has a helpline phone number. So if they don't know who to turn to, they have someone that they can just ask questions to. You know, we're really trying to save kids' lives if they feel like they have no one else to turn to.
And if they just realize it's just a blip of their life when they're in school, it's nothing. There's so much more when you get out of school.
It's so hard to realize that when you're that age, though. You know, it feels like everything when you're that age.
What's the connection with 13th Floor haunted houses in Denver and the Don't Be a Monster?
So the actually the GM and a few other, the general manager and a few other actors from the 13th floor go into the school and actually do the assemblies.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so they have a really interesting perspective. They're all characters themselves, you know, obviously working at a haunted house. And so I think the kids really connect to how unique they are and how they put on a show. You know, everywhere they go, they put on a show.
How do we get the Don't Be a Monster and Frank at our school?
Just go to don'tbeamonster.org. There's a little button that says book an assembly. We only work in the fall, so we're kind of nearing the end of our season, but we're taking reservations for 2019 right now.
Oh, I think it's so important.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. Why do you think Don't Be a Monster is so unique?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's Frank, right?
yeah, I just think we're talking about bullying, thankfully, isn't this brand new thing. I'm glad that it's been around for a really long time, but our approach is really unique and our approach is memorable. And every year kids remember Frank, obviously more than anything, but the material starts sticking.
Yeah, I mean, if each kid could just go out there and say hi to a new friend and make that friend feel
It would
special
make such a
each and every day,
difference. Yeah, it'd
it
be
would.
great.
Stomp out bullying in your community. Find out how Frank can visit your kid's school by visiting don'tbeamonster.org. Now, Frank comes to schools at no cost because of partnerships with haunted houses like the 13th floor in Denver, which you can check out if you're feeling brave. It's now open through Sunday, November 3rd. For tickets, go to this website, 13thfloorhauntedhouse.com.